Guys, how's it going? It's Al. Week 10 top stacks for your DraftKings lineups in NFL DFS this week. And I'm just going to tell you up front, this is the worst week ever in daily fantasy when it comes to correlation, stacks, value. DraftKings has really tightened things up and made it very difficult. And on top of the fact that it's a 10-game slate with a bunch of teams off on bye week, some really good teams and offenses on island games, it's making this week just not feel great from a lineup building perspective. Quite possibly, in the 11 years that I've been playing daily fantasy and 10 years that I've been doing content, the worst slate in the history of DFS. But somebody's got to win all the money, so it might as well be us. So let's take a look at the top 5 stacks of the week. And I'm going to throw in one bonus stack because I didn't really have a puke stack. They're all puke stacks. So I'm going to throw in a bonus puke stack for you. So top 5 plus 1 puke stack. Let's go.
He's a legend.
The Smiz Gang Listener League rides again in week 10, $10 to enter. The only way that you can get in is through smizzle.tv/links. You cannot find this game in the lobby. It is not a lobby game on DraftKings. You have to go through the link tree, smizzle.tv/links. And while you're there, click everything else. The best tournament that exists on DraftKings, $45,000. Every single dollar gets paid right back out that comes in. There is no rake in this tournament. So 3 max, get in there just like you do every week. And on Monday, I will shout out the top 10 finishers on the recap video on the Al Smizzle Fantasy Football channel. All of the links to everything, the Fantasy Football channel, my Instagram, the Twitch stream, if you wanted to stop by, I'm live 6 days a week, and the Listener League link, literally all of it is in that link tree. So go to smizzle.tv/links and check it out. The first stack of the week, I just like I put the first stack on the cover, or I put the cover stack as the first stack every single week because it just makes things easier. There's no sense in keeping any sort of suspense when I've already blown the suspense. You clicked on the thumbnail already anyway. So Trevor Lawrence is 5,400. It's just too cheap, right? You have a situation where Kansas City amplifies the amount of dropbacks that opposing teams run, right? Like 70+% of the yards that have been gained against Kansas City have come through the air this year. Predictably so, based on how many times you're going to have to pass. You're going to play from behind. You're going to be in like a 70% drop back situation, which is what most teams, like not the Arthur Smith Atlanta Falcons, but like every other reasonable team, when they're playing from behind, drops back at about 70% of the time. But I will have to repeat and highlight that efficiency, not volume, is what creates fantasy points, right? So when a quarterback is more efficient, meaning they throw for a higher completion rate, they throw for more touchdowns, that's how you get a higher fantasy score on that day. Well, also, the Chiefs have allowed a passer rating of 101 to opposing quarterbacks. So they not only increase the amount of opportunities that opposing quarterbacks will attempt more, like there's a possibility that he throws the ball 45 to 50 times this week, does Trevor Lawrence. And we have an expectation that he can throw it with increased efficiency based on what this Kansas City defense has allowed. On top of that, the increased volume, the increased efficiency, really high total in this spot. And like taking a look at who he's thrown the ball to, Christian Kirk at 23%, Zay Jones, Evan Ingram. Monitor Evan Ingram's injury situation. He may or may not play this weekend. He wasn't practicing early in the week. We'll know before lineups lock what's going on there. Marvin Jones being the 4th guy. Hopefully they get Travis Etienne more involved in the passing game because you can't keep treating him like he's Derrick Henry. And none of them are very expensive either. So why didn't I click on Jacksonville here? I wonder if I didn't do this for every stack. And now I'm going to have to like click through and do the whole thing because I am a professional content creator. Christian Kirk does pop as a good value. Making a choice between Zay Jones and Marvin Jones is somewhat of a coin flip. So hopefully you choose correctly. I'm not going to be including Etienne Jr. in my Trevor Lawrence stacks more than likely, unless I have some belief that he's going to get 15+% of the market share targets. That could be a thing if Evan Ingram does not play this week. He was limited, but we'll monitor that situation this week as well. They're just going to drop back more. They're going to have to throw the ball more and increased efficiency based on Kansas City's play. Which brings us to Kansas City. And if you're still here, please drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the notifications bell. Let me reply down below, letting me know which stack you think you can viably get to this week, because it's very, very hard. And Patrick Mahomes stacks are clearly difficult to get to. You're going to have to find value somewhere else. But because DraftKings has ratcheted up the price on the low dollar wide receivers, basically wide receivers right now that are between like 4,500 and 5,500 in previous years were like 3,500 to 4,500. So like they've really, the top end guys are still where they are, but it's the mid to the low priced players that they've really kind of ratcheted the prices up by 20, 30, 40%. And it's made it very tough to fit in these super premium stacks. And week 9, week 10 is where they start gassing up the prices everywhere else. So like Patrick Mahomes to Travis Kelce has been extremely viable, right? Like Kelce is getting targeted way more than anybody else, but he's $2,500 more on DraftKings than any other tight end that exists on the slate. Absolutely massive price tag. Juju Smith-Schuster has been the second most populous wide receiver in terms of targets, target market share, and we've seen him have 3 really great weeks in a row, 3 great games in a row. They had a bye week in week 8. That's led to more predictable fantasy scoring than earlier in the season. And then it kind of comes down to, like, do you want to play Kadarius Toney? Do you think he's going to get more snaps this week? Do you think Mecole Hardman's going to be the guy like he has been more recently and very involved in their inside the 10 package that they're utilizing? They're utilizing him as a weapon and a hammer inside the 10-yard line way more than ever before, which has led to 3 touchdowns. And then they've got Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who they essentially turned into a conditioning bot. He's just out there getting cardio 2 out of the last 3 weeks, running a lot of routes, never getting targeted. But Patrick Mahomes kind of warned us about this as the season started. Like, it was going to be Travis at 30%. 29.6% of the targets for a tight end is incredibly crazy. Like, it's insane. And then Juju Smith-Schuster over 20%. And then it's just like literally anybody. It's a bunch of mess in here, and maybe you hope to hit it. These would be the 2 easiest stacks, and then bring it back with somebody on Jacksonville if you choose. Now, here's where it gets difficult. Josh Allen may or may not play this weekend. By the time you're watching this, probably on Saturday afternoon, you're going to know. We might know by Friday. But like, we don't know right now. I record this video on Thursday afternoon, so there's an if-then statement to be had. Josh Allen, and we're going to see what the total drops to in this one. Right now, they're like 7-point favorites, 6.5-point favorites. If Josh Allen's out, I think that it goes to minimum a pick 'em, and maybe Minnesota favored by 1. But the price for Josh Allen's $8,600. If you look at where the targets go in the games where Josh Allen's played, like, they all go to Steph Diggs, and then some go to Davis, and some go to Singletary, some go to McKinnon. Like, none of these guys are reliable on a week in, week out basis. But if you think that they're all of a sudden going to just turn into a ground and pound offense going from him to Case Keenum, I think that you're mistaken. I still think that they're going to throw the ball. They're not going to throw it. They're not going to use the exact same play calling and playbook that they use with Josh Allen or center, because Case Keenum can't do what Josh Allen can do with a football. But that's not to say that Case Keenum is going to throw it 12 times or drop back 12 times. They'll still drop him back 25 to 35 times this weekend against Minnesota. And the Minnesota cornerbacks are extremely exploitable. And 13,300 is a big difference from 16,900. So, like, it changes the value equation. You don't have the 35 to 45 point ceiling, in my opinion, when you play Case Keenum in this spot, but you don't need it either because the price is only 5,000. So it just changes the way that you're going to have to value these doubles and bringbacks, or if you're going to single stack them and double bring back on the other side, or if you're just going to go for a full-on game stack. Monitor the situation as the week goes on. Obviously, I can't make a call on it, but I did need to let you know that both ways, whether it's Case Keenum or whether it's Josh Allen, the Bills are one of the top 5 stacks on the week. Miami is a stack every single week because, you know, you don't go to Taco Bell. Well, you do. People go to Taco Bell to get tacos, but Taco Bell doesn't exist to sell you tacos. They exist to sell you Pepsi products. So, like, you plug in the taco, 2 with a taco, Tunga Vailoa. You plug him in to get to the large Pepsi in Tyreek Hill and to get to the Mountain Dew with Jalen Waddle. I'm going to take all the Pepsi products at wide receiver and play 2 of the taco at quarterback and just figure it out from here. Like, it's not that hard, especially when you look at, like, their targets. It's these 2 cats and then nothing. And the Gesicki targets basically come on games where Durham Smythe isn't on the field. So the days where Durham Smythe plays, Gesicki plays way less snaps. He can still catch the random one-off touchdown here and there, but he runs way less routes. He does not play as many snaps, but still has 1 touchdown, possibly 2 touchdown possibility on like 2 or 3 targets. You look at the difference, right? Games where Smythe sat week 7, week 6, games where Smythe was back weeks 9 and 10. Or sorry, 8 and 9, where he had 4 and 2 targets as opposed to 14 over the 2 weeks that Smythe was out. Caught a touchdown in this one, but you kind of got to get lucky. Trent Sherfield, same sort of a situation where he's going to pop as a value play because, like, what if he wanders into the end zone? But no game where he's had double-digit fantasy points. But based on DraftKings with the full PPR and everything, if he catches 3-4 balls and one of them is a touchdown, he clearly pays off on that 3,300 salary. But the majority of your Tua stacks on a week in, week out basis is going to be based around these two, and rightfully so. The stack that comes in number 5, I'm not going to call it a puke stack, but Derek Carr and the Las Vegas Raiders square off against Indy, who has been really bad, and just hired a high school coach to be like, look, I hope that Jeff Saturday does well. I really do. I want him to succeed. I still think there are issues with the hiring. We have Darren Waller going to IR. This is brand new breaking news just before I started recording this video. And the island of Foster Moreau is still 3,200. Why? Like, he hasn't really done anything big in the weeks that he's been out, but like, he's easy value that you know is going to run out there at 3,200. Very easy to play him in stacks if he happens to have a touchdown in the absence of Waller. We haven't seen much from Hunter Renfrow this year. They're just not targeting him the way that they had in previous years, as Devontae Adams is eating up 31% of the market at wide receiver. Then Mac Hollins, then like Renfrow and Moreau, and this is including a couple games where Darren Waller played. Josh Jacobs also gets about 10-11% of the target market share, but only really projected right now at Josh Jacobs for like 12%, between 10 and 15% everywhere I've looked. Now that's going to change as the week goes along. Right now he's projected to be like the 8th or 9th most played running back. That can't be right as a 5-box runner. If it is, it's another smash spot against an Indy defense that hasn't done a good job at stopping anybody. But if I build Derek Carr stacks, they're going to be locked to Devontae Adams. I'm going to build a rule that says any Carr stack, Adams has to be in it. And then sprinkle in guys like Rollins and sprinkle in some Moreau and possibly sprinkle in a Renfrow to get away from Josh Jacobs. I'm not going to play all of them. I double stack. I don't quad stack or do silly things like that, because there's no way that all these guys can eat over everybody else. But this is a week where you're going to want to break the rules. So getting to the bonus puke stack this week, it's Jacoby Brissett. I don't feel good about it. I really don't. But they're playing against a team that you're going to have to score points, and a team that has allowed teams to score points. It's not like we haven't seen him score 20 fantasy points. He did it just last week. He's got to throw for multiple touchdowns for this to pay off, is really the key. He does show some ability with his legs, but not really a running quarterback at all. He is just somebody who can scamper when he gets inside the 5-yard line in an emergency. Do not expect any like designed runs for him. We also have a really stupid thing to talk about. Well, okay, before the stupid thing, David Njoku, really high volume, still dealing with an injury. If he is out this week, I like this play even more. You want the dumbest analysis? Here it comes. Here's the dumb, lazy analysis. Amari Cooper, who's going to pop as a value in every single model that you look at. I've looked at 3 so far. He is popping as a positive value in a lot of plays because 6,500, he's way cheaper than the amount of targets that he is averaging on the year. But 23 points in home games, 5.7 away games. I know y'all love the home away splits. You know who is the exact mirror opposite of him? The polar opposite. Donovan Peoples-Jones, who in the last 5 games has had 4 or more catches. Finally, a receiver that's under 4,300 that's getting some sort of volume. Over 10 DraftKings points in 4 of the last 5. 4 or more catches in 4 of the last 5, 0 touchdowns on the year, but Mike Clay has him as an OTD, expected touchdowns of 2. Really deep downfield possibility. Miami has given up an awful lot of deep passes on the year. And if we take a look at his home road splits, 6.9 fantasy points at home, 12.1 on the road. Why not lean all the way into the skid and just play the guy who's they've used more on the road, who's actually got a little bit of value? I hate it here. This is the dumbest stack of all time, because who knows, but like maybe you just game stack this situation and hope that Miami gives up like 28 points and they win like 42-28 and you capture all the touchdowns. So let's go over to Fantasy Labs. If you have not checked out Fantasy Labs, head over there and go to smizzle.tv/labs with an uppercase L. You can see the different lineup creation things that I use over there. To double stack here, bring it back with one of the wide receivers. Let's go to hide settings. Let's apply all these settings and generate 150 lineups using the quarterbacks that we just talked about in this video. Realize that you're not just going to click the button one time. You're going to have to do a lot of things. And as you can see, the puke stack is popping right now in the projections. So I wish you the best of luck. Go through, spend an awful lot of time. Make sure you jump in our Discord. You can talk with all the other channel members and Twitch subs on our Discord channel in those VIP rooms that you get as an add-on for your subscription to the channel member program here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Look out for another video right there.
He's a legend.